Hi.
How are you?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Shivani. So nice to talk to you.
Good,
I'm
thank
good. How
you.
are you? So, what exactly did you try USMLE as an Indian
Sorry, I
graduate?
can't hear you. Yes.
Uh, what exactly inspired you to write the
Right.
USMLE as an Indian
So,
student?
I'm actually born in the US, so I am a US IMG. So I was born here, but
All
then my
right.
parents moved back when I was a little kid. So then I ended up doing my schooling and then med school in India. But of course, as any curious child, it was always in my plans, to come back to the US, experience the life here. Because I was very little, I didn't remember much of it at all. So,
Right. Your parents had this act of
sorry?
patriotism too? Your parents felt a lot of patriotism
Uh,
too to
I
India?
mean, yeah, my dad just wanted to move for work, I guess. Oh shit, that's
Same thing with
great.
my dad.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't born there. I was born in Bangalore actually, but my primary education
Okay,
was
for me
done in
it's
the
the other way
US, and then I
around. So I
shifted
was
here.
born here, but then all my education. So yeah, I
Yeah,
always wanted to come back. So that was in the plans.
yeah, makes
And
sense.
of course, in medical school, I realized that emergency medicine is my thing. I realized really early on. So I knew that's what I wanted to do for sure. So that's how my journey
All right.
began in emergency medicine and USME. Like I did not want to compromise on either. So, so yeah.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little
Of
bit
course,
more about
yeah. So I'm
yourself?
Shivani, and I did my medical school from Bangalore in Vaidehi Medical College, and I graduated in 2021.
Right.
Um, and I'm currently an incoming PGY1 or intern at New York Medical College, Met Harlem Emergency Medicine Residency. I just moved to New York, so my house
Wow.
is filled with boxes, and I'm currently in the launch in my apartment, so that's why the noise. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
But
Oh, that's totally fine.
yeah, so like I said, I was sure I wanted to do emergency medicine. So when I started my journey, I tried to reach out to people, my colleagues,
Right.
people, fellow applicants, peers, even like distant family in the fraternity in the US.
Right.
But I just realized that there's not much emergency medicine and IMG being related at all in the situation. I found no help. I found no guidance. I found
Right.
nobody who was doing it.
Oh.
So it was like something that I tried to figure out myself. Of course, I had Google, thank God. But but other than that, I kind of tried to figure out the entire process step by step myself. And I mean, here I am today. But
Wow.
yeah, I want to be someone who people can reach out to, especially emergency medicine, but even otherwise, just for guidance. And yeah, emergency medicine, I think, has a lot of specific things that other specialties don't have. One has to be the letter of recommendation, actually. So when I,
Yeah, there's just so much
right?
thinking on your feet there. Like I go to my postings in the wards and
Yeah,
it's
so
insane.
exactly.
I really admire your courage to be able to do
Yeah,
that
there are
because
so
I
many
don't think I could
specifications that I had to figure
personally.
out myself, just because
Right.
it's not a part of other specialties, so nobody knew about it, even attendings, like in other specialties. So yeah, that's me.
That sounds great. Could you tell me how you made it into the program?
So my Metalim, is that what you're saying? Right.
Yeah.
So like I said, I knew I wanted emergency medicine, and I actually really wanted to be in New York City. So that was one of my priorities or preferences, maybe not priority, preference. So when I was looking for rotations, the first thing I did was look for rotations in New York, of course, because I wanted to build contacts in the city, just be in the city, look around, experience the culture, learn about like the patients that I'm going to see, so I'm aware. So I think that's something that really helped me in being able to match at Met Harlem, having rotations in the area, and especially in Harlem. I rotated in Harlem, which is very different
Oh,
if you know New York City from the rest of Manhattan.
right.
So I think that really helped me
Yeah.
being aware. They knew that I knew the population that I was getting into. I knew what I was getting into. And through my struggles, I got 3 letters of recommendations as like emergency specific, so SLOEs. So all 3 of them were SLOEs. I think that's something
Oh,
that helped
that
me a lot as well in getting a good number of emergency medicine
right,
interviews, because
right,
even though one SLOE is enough technically based on the rules or regulations, I think the more you have, the better. So
right.
yeah, that's something that helped me as well. And then I was interested in New York, but I applied broadly because there are so little emergency medicine programs that we can apply to. So that helped me. And just doing all the interviews I got. One thing specifically that I did do after my interviews was that I reached
Okay.
out to my top 5 programs, and then many of the programs, since it was virtually interview season, they did have like second look in-person visits, or you could reach out to them just to go check out the hospital, see if that fitted you. So I did do that. I did that for about my top 5, like I said, and of course I did that for Harlem. It was my top one, and I think that helped me a lot as well. Just meeting people in person, meeting the residents in person, meeting the program director in person, and the coordinator. They know who you are. You know how it works. They know you. So I think that helped me. I mean, I can't be for sure about any of these things, but
A lot of emphasis on
like
forming a personal relationship, actually going and associating your name of who you are as a person rather than just another applicant
exactly
in a
putting
whole
a
sea
face to the
of
name,
applicants.
basically. Yeah, exactly.
So you spoke about your letters of recommendation. What do you think the importance of writing a personal statement is, and how would you guide somebody who is writing their own personal
Okay,
statement?
so personal statement is like personal, literally. That's what it says. So I
Yeah,
think a personal statement has to be very
yeah,
candid, very like true to you, something that is very original, something that you've thought about and you've expressed through your own words. Um, it isn't enough to just
right.
have your thoughts but be expressed in someone else's words. It's just not the same. And they're going to know, like, trust me, they're going to know if it's not you. So don't use ChatGPT for that. Just saying.
Right.
But literally, like, no. So, yeah, it's just raw, unfiltered, or maybe slightly filtered, but just you. That's what my opinion of a personal statement is. And what you put in a personal statement is basically things that you want them to know about you, things that are not on your
Right.
CV, things that are conversation starters, things you're confident about talking about in your interview. So that's what you should put on your personal
All right.
statement, because that's where they're going to pick up things and be like, oh, I see you're a dancer. I see you're a swimmer. I see you have dyslexia. So how did you get through medical school? So
You
yeah,
should.
so that's what I think a personal statement is. And my tips for being writing a personal statement would be start early. Literally start early, just
Right.
brainstorm, jot down points, just ask people what they like 3 words that they would describe you in, or just all of these help. And just have multiple drafts,
Yeah.
keep going through it. Every time you read it, you're going to be like, I want to add this, I don't know, I
Okay.
want to add this, and then you're going to keep editing it, get people to proofread it, of course, get opinions, but just make sure it's true to yourself at the end of the day. Like, that's what I think my take on a personal statement is.
Okay. That's a lot of new
Oh,
things that
nice.
I haven't heard before. There's just so much out there.
Your
Got to
voice is
fight
breaking
what fits
a
for.
little bit. Let me see. Yeah, it's better now. Yeah,
Is it better now? All right. So how do you think one should go about formatting their CV?
yeah. So if I were reading somebody's CV, and hopefully I am on that side of the chair someday.
Right.
For me, the thing that let's hope.
Let's hope.
For me, the thing that the most important would be
Yeah.
well formatted, like crisp, clean, in bullet points, not paragraphs. Very clean, attractive looking CV where I do not have to spend
Right.
more than 10 minutes. I mean, especially if I'm seeing like thousands of applications in a month.
That
So
makes a lot
that
of
would be my
sense.
first,
Right.
like biggest advice. Like content, aside, just make it really clean, crisp.
Right. So quality over quantity,
Quality over
basically.
quantity, and yeah, just as less words as possible. That yes helps you with anyway because you have a word limit, or I think you have a word limit, right? And I think this year you also
Right.
have a number of experiences limit. I don't know, I'm not sure, but I did read something about that. I think there's like maximum of 10 experiences you mentioned, which is good. So that's one
All
thing.
right.
Of course, a CV has to be well-rounded. You can't just have like 270s in your scores and then have not speak about how you are a
Right.
holistic person. That's the biggest aspect of this journey.
Right.
Just showing. That's why they have so many steps, so many processes. So, of course, you should have good research,
Yeah.
good work, good volunteering work helps a lot, especially if you're applying to like community programs. As an IMG, we tend to attack community programs. Basically, volunteering helps you get
Yeah.
interviews in community programs,
Yeah.
research for university, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, those are some
Yeah.
things I think in a CV, being holistic mm, and neat and crisp. Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's take a question from the audience. If out of everybody who's with us right now, if anybody would like to ask Dr. Shivani anything, please go ahead. Now's your chance. She's all yours. Is there anybody who has already asked something? Okay, no questions yet. So let's
Yeah.
move on with our discussion. I guess I'm the only one who has a lot of questions for you today. So, what are the common mistakes that you think, as an IMG, we tend to make on our
On the
applications?
application specifically, or like I mean, in general also.
Okay, the
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
application
yeah. Okay,
process,
the process.
let's say. What are the biggest mistakes that
Hmm.
IMGs tend to make?
I think we just perceive this whole journey as like a huge horror story, and we just listen to
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's a
yeah,
lot of bad rumors about the whole MLE process and how
we
hard
just
it
listen to
is.
like people who are not even in the experience, people on the internet, and it just creates this whole amount of anxiety even
Right.
before you start. I feel, which is so unnecessary.
Yeah. Even before like you start preparing for step one, there's like 1,000 rumors that you hear that's like so much harder than NEET or
Yeah,
whatever exam that you have to clear for
but
your country.
yeah, it's
This is
so
so
unnecessary.
much.
I think that's like the biggest mistake that you could make, just involving yourself in these things and drowning in it. Um, Another one would be not having like a fixed timeline for yourself. I've seen people just studying for step one for 2 years and 3 years and not giving yourself a deadline. And
I've seen that.
yeah, me
I've
too.
seen my colleagues do that. They're failing the university profs, but they're like, I'm
Yeah,
studying
but
for
how?
step
I
one
mean,
since first year.
how? Why?
Doesn't Yeah, that doesn't really seem
Exactly. So I
sensible
feel
to
like just
me.
give yourself a timeline, like 10 months, 8 months, whatever you think is good for you, whatever suits your study schedule. Give yourself a timeline, give yourself a
Right.
deadline. Not hard and fast, you can push it a month, two at the max. But I feel like if you have too much time, it is not helping you. You just, there's like, it's a hill. Like you go up, you're at your peak, and then you just go downhill somewhere. So you should have a timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
We
into
just
your
get
own
into our own
head.
head
You're like,
for that.
oh, I have 2 years. I'm gonna like take a 6 month vacation. Like, okay, take a week off. Like, it's okay, but don't break it. Like, be
Yeah.
dedicated and like focus. And yeah, another thing is not having your own study schedule and just trying to reach out to people. Be like, I've had people message me and be like, hey, can you give me your 8 month step one schedule? How is my schedule going to work for you? Like, you need to figure out yourself, have your own personalized schedule. So that's something that I noticed as well.
Everybody style. I mean, I might be better at one subject than you are at
Exactly.
another. We've always
Yeah,
got to,
yeah,
give different
exactly. Of
thoughts.
course, yeah. So, and just reach out to people.
So we've got
I think that's great.
got for us,
Sorry?
any more tips you've got for us IMGs over here?
Your voice is breaking. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Do you have any more tips for
Oh,
IMGs in India or like any other country?
tips. Okay, maybe like for people who are starting early, just stick to a timeline. Reach out to people, make contacts, have
Right.
mentors, know the process in and out, but take it one step at a time, I feel. Like you should
Okay.
know what you're getting into. You should know the entire journey you're going to have over
Right.
like 1.5 years or 2 years. But don't skip steps. Like it's called
Right.
step one, step two. Literally, just follow the steps. So just like don't skip the steps, but know what you're getting into, I feel. And then,
Of course.
what else? I think for people who are applying this year, like this is your cue to start preparing your personal statement and your CV. Literally, like take the hint. It's a sign.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
it's a
spoken
sign
quite a
to
bit about
start
that.
early.
Yeah.
And yeah, just have your steps out of the way, have OET out of the way, just so you can focus on
Right.
preparing for the application when it's time. Research programs. Start your
Right.
research for your program. You know what you want to apply to. Um, yeah, researching programs
Right.
in itself is a huge, huge time-consuming process. I took a good 1 month to shortlist the programs that I wanted to apply. You
Of
can't
course,
go
you
wrong
can't go
there.
wrong
Yeah,
there.
you don't want to waste money, but you don't want to lose out on the
No,
opportunity.
not
It's like a fine balance. So yeah, start
yeah.
all of those things. Just make sure you have the full application by the deadline. So you're giving it your best shot. That's
Right.
basically.
Okay. We've
Mm.
got Aparna asking you, what do you think? What about the importance of research?
Um, so I can speak for emergency medicine. It's not hell bent on
Right.
research. I think research is going to
Right.
help you in your application. It's going to give you a full application because you have a section for research in your application and you have to mention publications and research
Of
experience.
course.
And without that, it's just going to be blank when they receive your application. So definitely, if you have
Right.
a couple of experiences in research or publications, it's going to just give you a full application. It's going to make it stand out. But emergency medicine in itself is not research oriented, like let's say general surgery or dermatology. So yeah, as
Of
long as they
course.
know that you know how to go about it, or you like have like had your hand at it, I think that's good enough. Yeah.
Right. Right. There's another question. Somebody wants advice on electives. And also, if you think that going through agencies is a bad idea.
I was a COVID era applicant, let me tell you. So I literally did my rotations in 2020, 2021, 2022. So it was in COVID, and they
Okay.
were not accepting international students. There was no way for me to email them because um, the website just said not taking students. So I actually happened to
Oh gosh.
I did use agencies, so I can tell you about that. Um, yes, it's a lot of money which you can avoid, especially now that everything's opened up. You can email them. It's not too hard. I feel like just go on your program's website and email the program coordinator. Some of them just have like forms to fill and send in. I don't know how much they get back to you. I've heard that 90% of the time you don't hear back, but I mean, it's worth a try if you
Oh,
have time. And of course,
right.
yeah, just keep emailing them, keep reaching out to them. Write personalized emails, research the program. If they know that you know who they are and you're aware, I think they'll give you a better chance. And agencies can be
Right.
your like plan B. Um, but of course, it depends on how much money you
Okay.
want to spend. I think it's almost twice the amount to go through an agency as it is to go directly to the website and then like apply for. So
All
yeah, either
right.
way is fine, but yeah.
Right. All right. Somebody is asking, what are the chances of
Wow.
matching into
Okay.
dermatology?
Um, I
Yeah.
have heard that it's not impossible, but it's very, very hard. You need to have years of like research, clinical experience, like a good amount of clinical experience, let's say 12 months in dermatology in the US. Um, Maybe it'll help. I'm not sure
Right.
because That's not something that I even tried to apply to, but it would help if you have past experience in dermatology or you already had residency in dermatology. And I don't know if there's a categorical for dermatology. I think it's only through transitional and or prelim or something like that. But I'm sure if you want to do it and you're like hell bent on it, you can do it. Just give yourself time and focus and get the right mentors.
So it's just a little
It's
bit harder. It's not
nothing is
impossible.
impossible. Yeah, no. I'm sure there are outliers in
Of
every
course.
specialty. Like I'm sure there's a plastic surgeon out there.
True. Probably. There's another question. How would you suggest to learn the OSCE examinations with
The
Indian
what
curriculum?
examinations? Oh,
OSCE.
what is the OSCE?
OSCE.
I'm not sure. Sorry, I can't.
The ones where you have stations and you have to perform a certain task.
No idea. I'm sure. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. I have no idea.
All right. Okay. We actually, if you've heard, in 2019 they changed the curriculum in India. We are being taught
Oh,
OSCE now from
well,
the 2019 batch onwards. So my batch
Oh,
has all of
damn,
that.
no.
Yeah, we even had electives.
Wow. Well,
In our fourth
in
year, we had
India or in the
electives.
US?
Yeah, they've changed a lot. In
Okay.
India, we did electives in India in our college so that we get more experience into what fields
Well, I
that
feel
we
like
would
a
like to go into
dinosaur. I feel
later
like
on.
ancient in my mind.
No, it just changed
Oh.
right after your batch. Like 2019, I joined in 2019. My batch has all of
I
these
started med
changes.
school in 2014, so.
So yeah, no,
Yeah, no
it's
idea. I'm
way after
sorry.
your time. Yeah. Yeah, there is another doctor who has a question. He is an old
Okay.
graduate, 15 years plus. Do you think it'll affect his match cycle?
Um, you
He
graduated
graduated
med school
15 years
15 years
ago.
ago, but if you have a residency, if you've been practicing this whole time, if you do not have that larger gap, I don't think it's difficult at all. You just need to know, research the programs that accept like graduates above 5 years, because I do know that there's a cutoff of 5 years or 3 years now in most programs, but there are many programs that accept old graduates. And yeah, reach out to the programs, try to rotate here, try to build contacts. I think it's not hard at all, especially if you've not had a clinical gap for a long duration in the 15 years. Um, Even if not, I'm
Right.
sure you just, I mean, there's no age to it. You just start from scratch, go to your rotations, build your CV, and it should be fine. You should just be prepared for the worst, prepared for a fewer number of interviews, and ace the interviews that you get, I guess.
Pooja wants to know what your work schedule in New York City is like. How's the Big Apple?
I just moved here less than a week ago, so I'm setting up my house, and I haven't started residency yet. I'm still in the onboarding process. So I'm doing my medicals
Right.
and submitting all my documents, all of those stuff. That's what's going on. And I think I start orientation in June 15th, when I do all my BLS and ADLS, ACLS, all of those courses. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty crazy work schedule. 18 shifts a month, 12-hour shifts, and yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, it's not all that bad. I've heard that internal medicine people work much, much, much harder. So they work
Oh,
like
jeez.
6 days a week and 10 hours a day. Just yeah. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm happy that it's fixed.
Maybe that's a question we can come
Yeah,
back to like in a month once you've got a
yeah.
little bit more experience
We
working
can do
there.
this again.
We could do this again. Yeah, definitely. So, what do you think are some tips and tricks which will lead to success over other candidates? I mean, of course, there was
Yeah,
your thing about going and meeting people,
exactly.
face and a name. Got any more tricks up your sleeve?
To stand out, like I said, just like have a timeline so that you have everything ready before yes opens. I think that's going to give you a big edge in itself, because there's going to be half the applicants who are not going to have their step
Right.
2 in time, they're not going to have their letters in time, they're going to have so that's going to be like your easiest first step. Just um, following the timeline so that you have
Right.
everything ready. Anything that I did not mention? Yeah, I think being a holistic applicant, just have have some of your hobbies. Don't be afraid to mention things that you like. Like they want people who they can get along with outside of work, who you can hang out with, go chill with after
Of
your
course.
shift. So that's what they're looking at. They're not
Right.
just looking at like the perfect human to like dog, like house everybody. That's not what they want.
Makes sense. We're not Chat
Yeah.
GPT, are we?
So yeah, that's something. And in your whole journey, it is a long, long, long journey. I know it's different lengths for everybody. I think mine was a year and a half, I would say, or two. Um, so don't burn out. It's it's not your life. It's just a part of your life. So don't make everything about the US family or this journey in general because you're going to burn out really fast if that's what you do. So have a life, do everything that you love, do work out, hang out, go out, do everything. Just make sure that when you're studying, give your 100% so that you don't have like mediocre studying routines and you should be okay and also not burn out.
Right. I think anybody who's writing any
Yeah, I
exam
mean,
needs
it's
to hear
totally
that.
doable. Like, I know you don't want to believe me right now. I didn't believe people either, but it's not like a horror story. You just
Yeah.
take that day off, hang out, just make it a part of your life. It's not your whole life.
Of
That's all.
course. Right. Dr. Vidisha is asking, is it better to take step two before the rotations or after the rotations?
I don't think there's a better or worse. Like I said, it's very individual. I can't be like there's a hard and fast rule as to how you want to do it. I personally took my step one just after my internship in the COVID year because I could not do my rotations. But if not, I probably would have done my rotations first. So I did my step one at home, and then I did my first rotation. After which I came back. I had an extension in my internship, so I came back and I completed all of that stuff. And then I was working with daily rounds and marrow
Right.
for the need super specialty.
Oh, wow. So Marrow help
So I
you?
didn't use Marrow to study, but I was on the back end of things. So I was making the questions, I was making the answers that you guys are using to practice, literally on the back end of things.
Oh.
So
Oh, wow.
that helped me decode more
Jeez.
of like the question making and the question answer making and like how people think while giving these
Right.
answers, taking these tests and stuff. So of course it did help me in some way, and it
Yeah.
helped me with spaced repetition because I would study something and then I would make a question on it in 1 week, then I'd make another question on the same topic in 2 weeks. So I just kept coming back to the topics, and that's how it
Yeah.
helped me. And then, yeah, after that, I did my step two, after which I did my two more of my rotations. So that was my timeline, and it worked for me, but I don't know if it'll work for you. So.
Okay. Pawan is asking you if there's any tips that you could give him to match
Oh,
into emergency medicine.
absolutely. Like, it depends on what step of the process you are in right now because I do not want to overwhelm you with things. I do not want you to skip steps. So it depends on if you're just starting out or if you're applying
Right.
this year. Um, yeah, I mean, if you would reach out to me personally with these details, I could actually give you a more like specific help. But yeah, I don't know what kind of tips you want, so I'm not sure.
Right. So Pawan, you
Reach
can
out to
reach
me.
out to Dr. Shivangi herself. She'll help you
Sure.
out. Yeah. That's very sweet of her. There's another question for you. Does the time gap between step one and step two affect your application?
So I had a huge gap between my step one and step two. I had uh, 14 months because I did my step one and then I did rotations and then I finished my internship and also I was working for a bit during my step two prep.
Right.
So, what's the question? Is it an is it a problem or is
Did Yeah, is it an issue if there's a big
Um,
gap?
is it an issue application-wise? No, not at all. I don't think they care how much gap you have. Personally, if you have it back to back or within like 6 months of each other, you do not have to refresh your step one prep. So yeah, at your fingertips, so you can go directly to U World
Of
for
course.
step two. And step two, you don't need much other than U World, your step one resources, and maybe like Anki. That really helped me because I need constant repetition in studying.
Right. Spaced
Exactly. So,
repetition.
but for me,
Yeah.
since I had a gap, I did spend a month or a month and a half just reviewing my step one stuff so that my basics are good, and then going on to step two. But my whole step two dedicated was about 4 months, so it's not a problem, I think.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
right. So, how can one find a list of, these residency programs? Like, where did you find yours for
Right.
emergency
So I
medicine?
used a couple of resources. I had no peers to reach out to, so I did it from scratch. If you know somebody, I mean, I'm sure they're going to give you a couple of like the best programs, or these are what you have to apply to, and these are what you can kind of. So I
Apply
used
for, right?
a Residency Explorer as my first base app, and it's free. So you just sign up for it, and then
Okay.
it's cool because it has a bunch of filters. You can filter out your assembly scores, you can filter out being an IMG, you can filter out work experiences, and all of that stuff. And then it gives you a spreadsheet, like an Excel sheet, all the programs, and then their requirements.
Oh,
So that's how I started. It's
right.
the
That
best.
sounds very useful.
It was my holy grail.
Yeah.
So I got my spreadsheets and all whatever filters I wanted. You can like personalize it a lot. And then of course I went to Frida, which is
Right.
another free resource, and kind of cross-checked what programs are on there and not on there, and then kind of added it into my sheet. And then I also used Match Resident actually for emergency medicine, just because I found that there are very few, like under 70 emergency medicine programs that IMGs can apply to. Yeah, or
Hmm.
that I found that I could apply to.
Okay.
Mind you, I'm a US IMG. So for a non-US IMG, it will be
Right.
a smaller number again. So I used Master Resident and then added those as
Of
well. And then
course.
I categorized each program on my Excel sheet on red, yellow, green. Green being something that I'm definitely applying to, and yellow being like maybe I'll see in the end kind of situation. Red being those that had no international students in the past, like 3, 4 years. And then, yeah, that's where I took it from. I just went
All
to each
right.
website. I literally went to each website, so it took me like a month. I did like 30, 40, even 50 a day. And then,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, made my list.
Right.
Yeah, I had about 72 at the end of it in emergency. And I actually also applied to internal medicine, so that was a different spreadsheet. Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
mention this, I
wow.
think, but I double applied in
Okay.
two specialties.
Okay. Okay. Are there any final tips and tricks you'd
More
like to
tips and
say?
tricks.
Or should we just, get together again next month?
More tips and tricks. I think I've like exposed my tips and tricks. Like it's I can't think of anything else.
No
No, no,
gatekeeping?
no. Reach out to me.
Okay. No
I'm
gatekeeping, then I
like
think we're done.
for helping everybody, especially
Okay.
after having no help in the beginning of my journey, or like for majority of my journey in emergency medicine. Like I am
Right.
for helping anybody who needs the help. So like just reach out to me if it's something that you're interested in, and any step of the way from the start to like interview prep or anything, like I can help you. No worries.
That is
Yeah.
very sweet of you. So, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. It's been
Thank you so
great
much for
talking to
having
you.
me. Yeah, it was wonderful. I'd love to do this some other time after I have
Yeah,
different experiences to talk about. Yeah.
different. We'll get back together. Don't worry.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. Have a nice
Bye
day.
bye. See
Bye.
you guys. Bye. Have a nice day. Bye.